Greetings, 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 greetings at the back. Hello, hello. Bonjour, bonjour. I heard that we are going global today, so yeah, I have to also test my language skills, you know? Good morning. No, actually, good day. Let's say good day. To our valuable and esteemed guests that will be sharing very important information with us today. Good day to the people that are going to be joining us online. To you guys. You guys are the most important people for today, actually. Do you know that? We are here because of you. I mean, I also look young, but I'm quite old. So, yeah. um, I'm just going to start by saying that I am going to be your pilot for today. And I will be taking you on a flight with me to wherever we're going. We're going all over the place. I heard that the Nestle offices are in Switzerland, and I know that some of our partners here as well also have their headquarters in other places. So we are going very far. Are you guys ready? Have you fastened your seat belts? Okay, I'm just going to lay a few ground rules. Because, you know, when you get into a plane, they have rules, obviously, of what you have to do and to prepare. Yeah. So ground rules, please switch on your phones, put them on silent. If you have any questions or assistance, actually, while the panel is going on, just raise your hands and one of our volunteers will come to you. Don't forget to interact with us, as Joy has said, on all social media platforms. Our hashtags are All for Youth, SSA, and the career hookup. Hashtag the career hookup. If you want my Instagram handle, it's Zoleka Monta, and the All for Youth handles are down here, actually. All for Youth SSA, yeah. Okay, so what brings us here today is the Career Hookup Global Edition, which is hosted in collaboration with leading industry partners aimed at empowering students, you guys, all over the world and the country, or more specifically Sub-Saharan Africa, young professionals as well, to explore diverse career opportunities, gain valuable insights, forge meaningful connections with industry experts and recruiters. And through this engaging panel that we are going to be having, we hope to provide you with all the information that you need with the latest trends in our respective fields. So yeah, I'm excited to fly with you guys. Are you guys ready? No, that's not convincing. For Youth Day event, are you guys ready? Yeah. Okay, I like that. That's more like it. Okay, so my name is Zoleka Monta. I am working with UNESCO Rosa. So I work within the East and Southern region. I do digital and communications for education on health and well-being. So what we do is we work with young people and for young people literally every day of our lives, coming up with digital tools to help you guys stay informed on like health services that you might need, to keep yourself safe, also just to, interact with other young people all over the Sub-Saharan region on different things concerning sexual education, right? Get it? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna to start the conversation, I'm gonna align with this year's Youth Day theme. Who has an idea what this year's International Youth Day theme is? From our panel. Yes.
New careers, new opportunities.
Okay, I will take that one.
Close. From clicks, it's a Q.
Both of you guys are correct. It is from clicks to progress, paving digital pathways for young people to achieve the sustainable development goals, right? Yeah. Yes, so I've introduced myself. Now I'm gonna hand over to the panel to introduce themselves and what they do and why they're here today. So yeah, I'll start with.
That's on. Good. What's it? Good day, everyone. My name is Ian Greenspan. I represent an organization called Africa Tikkun. I'm head of IT. I'm actually far used to being in a Zoom and Teams meeting, so this is super refreshing actually being here, I must say, and wonderful to be engaging with you. Thank you so much for having me. So we've Africa Tikkun is it's our 30th year. We're actually a non-profit, and we've got a cradle to career model where we start off with clinics and early childhood development programs, after-school programs, and then career development programs, where ultimately our single objective is to get youth into jobs and to make people part of the economy. Just to some of your stats, we've got, there are essentially plus minus 12 million people unemployed within this country. I think it's 60% or even higher of youth are currently unemployed. So really my thing with you here is, how are you going to differentiate yourselves inside that massive market? What are you doing? What are you thinking about? And I hope to give some tips around that. And yeah, by the way, I'm also head of IT, so I'm representing, and I saw there were a lot of IT guys here. So thank you. Cool, thank you.
I'm going to go with good morning. This is before 12. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Harker. I represent the Publicis Group Africa, which I'm not surprised no one's really heard about it, so I thought I would just start with that. We're part of Publicis Group at a worldwide level. That is the largest advertising group in the world currently. We have 127,000 employees, and we have an office across the entire world. Our head office, a guy that's at Switzerland for Nestle, our head office is in Paris, so we look and report to the Paris constituents. My role in this group has changed over 6 or 7 years being there, but my current role is looking after operations and technology across Africa. So my focus is on looking at how can we deploy AI and automation into our creative space, into our creative boards. How do we enable our creatives to being the best they possibly can be? How do we promote diversity across Africa, to utilize all the different cultures across the continent to build it together? That's a lot of the focus which I do. And to explain the marketing sense is, we handle everything from the media plan, media strategy, through to the creative production, the TV shoot, to the final creative concept output, into everything, and that's our full output for that. It's great to be here. I was saying to my team, it's been probably 15 years since I've been on a varsity campus, and it's nice to be back. I went to University of the Western Cape, so if anyone knows UWs, and that's kind of where my home ground was. And to the lady that said BCom General, I studied BCom General, so it was actually nice to hear someone else saying that. I never thought I'll be in marketing when it started, but I ended up coming into marketing, and we'll probably get into that career conversations at a later stage. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so I'm Lenin. I'm from PUMA, so I'm the head of retail and e-commerce for South Africa. We obviously have our main head office or headquarters in Germany, but we have our headquarters here in South Africa, which is in Cape Town. We do have other offices across the country as well. In generally, we have almost 700 employees across the country, and apart from the fact that, yes, it's retail and e-commerce, but I mean, within retail, we obviously work with finance, with marketing, sales team, merchandise team. So it's a very broad spectrum that compromises of retail. So it's not just the conventional, okay, you work in a store and that's retail, but it's actually far bigger than that. So looking forward to the questions and conversations that will come up in the day, and hopefully I can answer all your questions for you.
All right. Good morning once again. My name is Comfort Chisikure. I am the Youth Learning and Development Lead for Nestle East and Southern Africa region. Yes, our headquarters are based in Vevey. However, our head office here in this region, we are based in Bryanston. The East and Southern Africa region is actually responsible for 23 countries within the region. So you can think from Cape Town to Kenya, Nairobi, Harare, and everything in between. If you fancy working by the island, Seychelles, Mauritius, you know, those kind of thing. So within my role, I started off at Nestle some many years ago as a graduate trainee. And I have done 6 different jobs. I am currently 3 months in this position and loving it. And I think it's a fun role because I get to interact with the youth. And I think for me, it's almost like a full circle, having started off as a graduate trainee, and I get to then share with youth the potential that is out there and how you can actually put your best foot forward to really get yourself into the space that you want to be, especially within the partners of all for youth. So hoping that today's engagement and session will be insightful for you in terms of what opportunities do we have, especially for those that are probably looking, almost about to graduate, whether it's internship, graduates, learnerships, etc., and perhaps those that are looking for bursary funding as they continue with their studies. So I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm also looking forward to the networking session so that we can do those speed things quickly, with speed. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Comfort. Good morning, everyone. I'm Brandon Erdang from Adcorp Group. We are a holdings company with 16 brands under us, and we focus on workforce solutions across the full workforce life cycle. We've got people across supporting all the large brands in South Africa. We've also got a footprint in Australia. Our main thing is to enable focused, skilled, and agile workforces for the future. And my background is maybe a little bit less traditional than others. I've got an environmental background, environmental science, and when I was studying, I was always wondering, and I always had that little bit of anxiety about what am I going to do afterwards. You know, a lot of the studies were done in the bush. You know, clear chemistry, physics, mathematics, ecology, zoology, and then I've found my way into corporate, and I've been enjoying it, and there's some amazing things I do. I'm head of sustainability. I get to focus on the fun things about business, make sure that we treat our people well, make sure that our human rights, our modern slavery, our just transition, all of those kind of policies and protective mechanisms are in place for our people. So I'm looking forward to today's session and the questions. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Avi Ramdin from ABB South Africa. Just a bit about ABB. We've been around since the 1800s. Our head office is also in Zurich, Switzerland. It's a combined company, a merger between Asia and Brown Bavaria, and a bit of Swedish history also in there. Today in South Africa, we've been around since the 80s, and we came back in 1994, very much dedicated and patriotic employees focused on the South African economy. We have quite a few manufacturing facilities here in South Africa, representation throughout the country. Myself, I've been around in the industry for the past 2 decades, a lot of wealth and knowledge to share with you today. And it's really inspiring to see all of you all show up here today. So definitely give yourself a round of applause, you know. And looking forward to the networking session also. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. You saw by that laugh that I have a problem. I'm Kuku Chabalala. I am the head student experience on this campus. So I'd like to welcome you today to the IAE's Varsity College Pretoria. Well, the reason why I'm here today is to show you hospitality and to make sure that everyone is okay. I'd like to thank all for youth for choosing our campus to actually host this. I'd like to thank all our stakeholders for being here, taking the time out to actually share all this information with you. I'm sure that they're very busy people. So thank you for taking the time out. And thank you to you guys for coming through. I saw that we have people from UJ, so thank you to our guests. Our Varsity College alumni, I saw a couple of you around. And to our students, I hope this is going to be worthwhile for you. Well, it definitely will be worthwhile for you if you make it work for you. So the first step you already took, you're here, and that's all that counts. You need to take control of your future And by you being here, as you taking the first step, so welcome. Now I'm going to leave you with my 1,000 voices and step aside just to rest my voice. I'm going to hand over.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gugu. Yeah, we are indeed flying, actually, hey? I just realized all these partners have headquarters all over the world. So, yeah, it's a connecting flight, multiple stops everywhere. You know, I liked what you said when you started, Kyle. You were like, yeah, I'm so happy to be here because we're always online. I feel the same way. Honestly, we're always on Teams. So just to kick off the conversation, we are talking about career and the global outlook of careers. My first question will start with you, Lennon. Specifically because you touched on retail not just being working in the store. I'd love for you to kind of expand what opportunities are there within retail and e-commerce for young people, or that young people can look out for.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting because there's, I mean, from a finance part of it, there's the whole background in terms of retail finance. And if you take a store perspective, it's on the back end, everything's run from a financial perspective, so you've got to manage that costing. And there was someone that earlier said they were studying accounting and stuff like that. So it's very easy to get into retail and be part of the financing department. There's marketing. There was someone also on the other side that touched on that. So there's a lot happening from a marketing perspective. Yes, we do get a lot of global guidelines, and depending on that brand direction, we've got to align with that. But from a local perspective, we're always trying to localize the brand, obviously, to push that within the country and work with ambassadors from South Africa as well. So that's important for us there. There's also merchandise in terms of the products and from the textile part of it as well. Do we do local production? There was talk on sustainability. Is it feasible for us to continue to import product all the time, or is it more feasible for us to actually get it locally sourced and produced? And obviously that creates employment within the country as well. So retail on the back end is very vast, and there's a lot of opportunity there. So it's not just to limit yourself to think that it's just in store or it's just what you see online. I mean, there's a lot of people behind the website as well in terms of the content that needs to go up, the marketing that needs to happen there, the digital operations that needs to happen there. So there's huge opportunity within the retail sector. So it's not just what you see it to be when you walk into a store or when you log onto that website.
Beautifully said. And I say this to say, I studied a BA in film and television, right? But right now I'm in the advocacy space. So the possibilities are really endless for the lady with the question on education, and so it's just a matter of inserting yourself wherever you want to be. There's literally, especially those who did communications, the world is big. Yeah. My second question, do you want to answer?
Can I actually build on that, if that's
Yes.
cool? So, I mean, you touched on marketing, and I think from our side, maybe to consider, if you think of advertising, sometimes you only think about the TV ads or the radio ads or the big type of productions, but the shopper space is the next biggest trend happening in the world right now. And if you consider that Amazon, as an example, has come into our country now, and what that's doing to e-commerce as a platform itself, it fundamentally changes the marketing communications game. And everything you were talking about, there's data science behind it, understanding the shoppers' buying patterns and how to kind of analyze that and determine the next best kind of communication strategy to work with that, how to build first-party data, how to understand your consumers on a absolute individual perspective and serving them the right ads and content and then actual products that suit them. It's a bigger space right now, and an encouragement I would give to everyone studying marketing and communications is think about the shopper's journey. Don't just think about the TV ad, think about the full 360 experience they go through, and as part of that, there's massive amounts of experience into that, from design, creativity, data science, technology, IT, automation. It touches the full 360 of all of that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, you can connect on that question if you have more questions after this. Brandon, so your question is, how can young people leverage transformation and innovation to advance their careers in today's job market, especially talking about the global landscape?
Thank you. Yeah, so I think today, and I mean you can attest to it, is that the market's changed. A lot of it has to do with the younger generations entering the workforce. The fact that COVID came and showed companies that they could move digital overnight. We know more in a space of like, you know, the knowledge worker isn't to say, okay, you know what, you've got all the information and you should know it all offhand, right? So it's about effectively using technology as well. So I'd say, I don't know, I'm sure many of you have used ChatGPT, you've tried to use it in your assignments. And, you know, it's not that AI is going to take over your career, and this is what our CEO also says, being in the workforce solutions space, is it's the employees or the people who actually effectively use AI that will take away your job. So if you don't keep up with these current trends, and I mean we've heard of trends in the marketing space, then you're going to fall behind. So my biggest thing is stay at the top of your game in your industry. Make sure that you know where it's going and what value you provide in that. There's also the element of it's more about critical thinking, creative thinking today. We want individualization. We don't want to say everyone's just a number. You know, everyone wants to be recognized as an individual, and the value that you bring to the company is important. Obviously, from a traditional transformation perspective, we look for diversity and inclusion. That's really becoming big in the corporate space. I answer a lot of customer due diligences that we work with. They want to know how we're supporting transformation, how we enabling women to actively participate in the career space, how we helping entrepreneurs. It's going for tendering on new business, so it's becoming really important and integrated into business, but it needs to be done on a meaningful space.
I agree with that. And just to smoothly go into the next question, it's for you, Ivy. What skills should young people focus on to thrive in the rapidly evolving tech landscape?
Thank you for the question. So I think from my colleagues, I think I'll leech on to that. We're living in a world of big data today, and there's a lot of data that's out there that needs to be unpacked. That being said, we need to be able to analyze this data and make it meaningful for the human being, all right? But I think one maybe thought that you need to think about maybe is we focus sometimes too much on the technical aspect. We see a big demand and gap around the soft skills. So don't forget to hone and continuously develop all of your soft skills. And that's a whole separate subject. I feel there is a lot more that we can do around the soft skills element, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done around that. And maybe an example is EQ, so I think that is the gap today that we need to focus on.
I would love for you to also touch on that.
So you've raised some very good points. Also, excellent question. I think the soft skills component is absolutely critical to any position you start going into, and hopefully you are developing that here, where you have the sense of where you've got a sense of curiosity about the world, and you're listening and asking the difficult questions. So that's why we really started off by encouraging you to ask questions, because that's really ultimately going to give you the answers that you want. I'm very, even though we have a whole range of programs starting with opportunities in the organization, I'm very biased towards IT as a skill set. And no matter what work, no matter what job you ultimately end up into, just having the absolute excellent foundation in Microsoft Office and Excel and PowerPoint and all of those products is absolutely crucial, right? But not just the foundation, the better you get, the better it will look on your resume, and the better opportunities you will get, and the more chance you have of finding a job, right? That's really ultimately what it's about. So even as an example, and just coming back to some practical things, like in Excel now, there's a co-pilot, an AI co-pilot, that's very unknown, and that if that can take a person who's comparing files, it can take work, it can turn a job, and a 1 week job literally into 5 minutes, right? No one knows about this. If you know about it in an organization and you can teach it in your organization, you suddenly have a skill that becomes crucial. Sorry, I'm going. The other things is like analyzing data on a hardcore level. Power BI, Tableau, like all of these tools that are actually free for students are absolutely crucial in the work environment. Again, no matter what work you're doing, there's all this data that has to be looked at and analyzed. And all of that training is, even if it's not provided here, is all available online for free at like learn.microsoft.com. And there's all these career paths there, and the skills are readily available. So I just recommend that whatever you do, just become the absolute best and just absorb more around that particular topic. Just become the best. So, thank you.
Become the best. Heard. Yes. Comfort. I loved how you got into this position that you're in, and I think you're the best person to guide us as young people in how to navigate the space. I found that like a lot of students go to school and they're under faculties and they think that it's just limited to what their degree says. So if I'm studying education, it means that I can only land in education or be a teacher, whereas it's quite vast and broad. So how can we effectively engage young people in learning about the different faculties and the different degrees that they do, or higher certificates and the opportunities that can emerge from that?
Yeah. So thank you so much for the question. And I think very critical to what Ian has said as well, it's about diversifying yourself, right? That right now you are on campus, you are doing your first, second, third, or fourth on a specific qualification. And perhaps at the beginning you had an idea of what your end will be, right? And opportunities like this, where we are talking about career and we're hooking you up with what opportunities are available. This is an opportunity where you start exploring, besides my initial thought, besides my initial plan that I had about my qualification that I'm doing, what other possibilities are there? And when you start exploring those possibilities, you then have to derive a plan on how do I then acquire the diverse of skills that are required that will then be able to set me apart, right? So if I can personalize this for me, so I did industrial psychology. I didn't know that I was going to end up in HR, right? So I can tell you, 15 years and 6 months later, I don't remember going back to my textbook to refer to any theory that I studied in class, right? And it's really about when you get an opportunity in the workplace, how do you continuously learn? Learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? And how do you ensure that, I think Ian raised it as well, he spoke about the sense of curiosity. How do you become curious? And in our language of learning and development, we talk about lifelong learning, that eventually at your third year and your fourth year, you're going to graduate, you're going to get your certificate, all great and well. In fact, your learning has just begun, right? So we really never stop learning. And I think the moment we set foot into the workplace, please be open-minded to expose yourself to different things. Where there are projects that are happening, raise your hand, participate, right? When the company says we are sending you, so at Nestle we've got different factories, right? 5 in South Africa and 1 in Harare in Kenya. And when I was doing my graduate program, my second year, the HR director just said, Comfort, you are going to East London. Okay, at least I was from the Eastern Cape, so I knew where that was. But to the shock of my career, on completing my graduate program, he calls me again and says, Comfort, we've got an opportunity in Babaleki. I'm like, huh? Right? So that agility and flexibility, and not really remaining in your comfort zone to say, I'm going to miss my parents and so on and so forth, and you just pack up your bags and you go. and you really immerse yourself into the operations. I'm in HR, but I was working in the factory, you know. I worked in the Kit Kat line for like 3 months, so I literally knows what happens there. And it talks about how to connect with people, because if we're talking about finding your passion, and within the HR space as well, there's a lot of things that happens, right? And finding my passion in learning and development, it was me spending time with the operators on the line. That way I'll be able to understand what skills are missing and how we can sort of like derive solutions. And it all come, you know, full circle together, whether from how you make the product, how you're mixing your raw materials, and so on and so forth. And it's really a value chain. So mine to you is to say, yes, primarily is to get your qualification that you have enrolled for here. Great. Start thinking, how do you diversify? And what is your plan of action? And as Ian indicated, there's a lot of free material and resources that you can use to diversify yourself in that regard. Thank you.
And just to add on that, Joy briefly touched on it at the beginning of the session. I think the importance of volunteering as well, putting yourself out there into spaces, finding out what different companies are doing or different organizations are doing. Volunteering opportunities are always there and they are free, right? So yeah, I think just to add on that. Kyle. My question to you, because as much as we are here and we are also sharing information, the young people are also important in organizations now. In what ways can young people or young talent bring fresh perspectives to operations and marketing within large organizations?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to some of what the panelists have been saying in terms of curiosity and actually just like leaning into it. But maybe put it in this way is that I have been doing this for almost 20 years and I don't know everything yet, right? And I think that a lot of what the youth are bringing to the space, bringing to our organization is a mix of culture, a mix of diversity, a mix of different backgrounds, different learnings, different understandings, fresh and different ideas. There are lots of different ways that come through it. Within Publicis itself, maybe I'm kind of like stretching the question slightly, but we have like a LeCub graduate program as an example where we encourage youth to come through. They form part of a team from our side. We place them into different agencies and they learn from the bottom up within that agency what it's like to be a marketer, which creative, designer, media planner, client service, what it is. And then we switch them around. We kind of put them into different spaces and let them experience more than just one kind of silo to it. And within that way, we are also exposing our creators and our teams and our clients to youthful thinking, because these teams aren't just kind of doing the filing jobs. They're actually involved in the creativity, they're involved in the strategy, and that makes a big difference for it.
100%, 100%. They bring fresh ideas and the energy. You know, my boss once said to me at work, I started off dressing up all funky. And then all of a sudden, I started dressing up all formal. And then one day she was like to me, no, you're dressing like me now. I don't like this. Where are your colorful stockings and your big hats? So, yeah, they bring the energy as well. We have to.
It's also advertising. So advertising's fun, right?
Yeah.
So you come into a lot of our offices. If I give like the Cape Town office where I'm from, we have statues of like different like paintings and drawings. We have like what we call the dripping banana, which is like this little painting thing coming down. It's a space where people can dress and feel free to kind of be who they are from whatever kind of culture background, and dress in also in fashion ways that are interesting. It's not this is probably the most formal you will see me. I'm very much not like this.
Wow. Lennon, what are 3 tips would you give to young people looking to join PUMA South Africa?
Look, a lot of us already touched on it. The experience is very important. You can't just get into a role and expect to be successful. There's a lot of background knowledge that is going to be needed. So from here on, you're going to have to go out there and get that field experience, because you know, the further you go up in your career. Yes. You have a question?
We can't really get like field experiences without getting like exposed to like the actual job where we can get like the field experience. So is there any way where we can get like the field experience beforehand?
Are you talking specifically in PUMA or just in abroad, just in general?
Just like in general.
Look, there's obviously intern programs that you can obviously get into. There's voluntary programs that you can obviously get into. It's all about getting that experience, just to put something to say that you do have knowledge behind, like the practical knowledge behind your tertiary education, because that's very important first, because the further you go, there's a lot about decisions that you need to make, and those decisions come from understanding exactly what needs to happen next, and you got to be accountable for those. So yeah, you're going to need that on-field experience, so you got to have to put yourself out there. We do have volunteers out here today, so this is where you sort of get to network with people, to understand what the needs and wants are in different organizations, and that'll obviously help you to get opportunities to put yourself out there.
Yes, I just want to officially ask this question because we are getting it also from online, and I'm going to ask it to all our partners. So the question is, how can young people, or what initiatives do the organizations you're a part of have to support youth development and career readiness in the region? So that could be like learnerships, degree, internships, volunteering opportunities. I don't know, we can start with Ian. Oh, we'll start with Ivy.
Okay, so from ABB side, I think we take around 10% of our headcount per annum. I think last year we took about 80 interns, so we got a graduate program running on a yearly basis. And then the rate of employment from there is anywhere between 10 and 20% based on the data that we have. So that's from an ABB South Africa perspective. And this is normally publicized on all social media platforms when the roles come out.
Yeah, so you've just got to be active in looking at the companies that you align with. So which are the companies that you value or that you would like to work for, and then keep an eye on when they do have their intern or learnership programs. At Adcorp, we're in a little bit of a more unique position where we enable a lot of the learnerships and intern programs for a lot of the major brands in South Africa. So if you go through there, and we've got one of our interns here today who will be a part of the networking event, and you can chat to her. But really the main thing is just to apply to as many of them as you can. Make sure your CV is correct. You know, your LinkedIn profile is up to date. We spoke a little bit about AI earlier. Use it to your advantage. Say, this is the kind of job that you want to look at. How can you customize your CV to use the right keywords? Often I hear people saying, you know, I've applied to so many internship programs or learnership programs and I haven't got it. The truth is there's a lot of people, and you need to stand out, and a lot of it gets first through a machine, a computer, you know, and if you don't have the right keywords in place, then unfortunately it gets auto-kicked out. So it's a nice, easy way to just go make sure that you've got the right keywords in your CV.
Yes, so from Nestle, we have got a couple of programs that we run for youth development and empowerment. So year on year, we pride ourselves with uptaking the graduates. So we are in the process of finalizing our intake for 2025. So please do follow us on our social media, on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram. And we're going to be recruiting for the graduate program. The program starts 1st of February next year. And it's a rotation base. It's a 24 months program. And then in terms of the internship, we are also going to be looking for interns. And this is really where you deep dive in terms of getting that workplace experience. And really it's a very good learning opportunity as well. And then for differently abled, we actually also have a learnership that if you do have a family member or somebody that you know in your community, it's something that they can look at enrolling as well for 2025 as well. And then in terms of bursaries, as I indicated earlier on, we also have bursaries for your STEMI students, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and now we have added innovation because, of course, we need to be innovative, you know, for a sustainable future. And then, and then I had somebody talking about apprenticeship. So that is really designed for your TVET and college students who are wanting to go into the trades of either artisan, millwright, and so on. So those are some of the programs that we have. And in terms of the work readiness program, I think this is why we are in an alliance partnership and having power as our implementation partner to ensure that as partners, we sort of like extend our resources that we have to extend our reach to the youth. So I encourage you that you become very much active in your socials as well, not just on the other stuff that is happening in the social media, but really in terms of building your own brand and what you want to be known for. So please, if you don't have your LinkedIn page active, start building on that, yeah? And leveraging on those free skills that you can learn to start building a profile. And I'm sure as you are still students on campus, there are services that are made available to you by your career services. Make use of that as well. You know, get involved on your campus activities. Don't just be a student who's coming here, you know, attending classes. Get involved. You know, when there are events, ask the career service office, how do I become a volunteer? How do I partner? Because you then start building some of the critical skills that as recruiters we're going to be looking at when we are interviewing you during the interview sessions. Yeah? Thank you.
From a PUMA perspective, so look, we've, as a subsidiary, we've been here obviously like 20 years, but we're still a growing business and there's a lot of opportunity within the company. So for us, we create a lot of junior positions, a lot of junior roles to allow the individuals to come into the company and into the business and to obviously evolve and grow from there. And once a person is there, we obviously offer internal bursaries as well so that we continue with the learning and development for those individuals. So yeah, just it's about following, just keeping up to date, and if there's anything available, put yourself out there, you know, get into those interviews, get that experience, and then if you're lucky enough, you know, you get in. It's not just PUMA, obviously it's just everywhere that I'm speaking of, but obviously we have a lot of junior roles that we will continue to evolve on. So that's one of the big pushes that we have. So yeah, just keep obviously following the brand, and then yeah, whatever opportunities come through, just take advantage of it.
Cool. At a Publicis perspective, probably two most important things. One's a bursary program, which you can apply for, and we will cover your tertiary education and then have a work at Publicis plan as part of it, part of like whatever marks you achieve in the middle of agreement you have in place. And then the internship program, which I spoke a bit about earlier, called Le Cubs, which as part of an application process, we do between 20 to 30 applicants a year, and we kind of place them across the country. So Cape Town, as well as then Johannesburg and the Durban office. I think even our Ghanaian office also has a couple of interns there as well, and we put you across all the different agencies. We try and find a space that fits you, fits your career the best, and looking kind of where you want to go. But I think at the same time, looking at a way of saying, how can you diversify your career in that process? So within 6 months going, okay, was it great at Saatchi and Saatchi? Do you want to learn something a bit different? And we kind of discussed it with them. And at the end of it, if I remember correctly, but the team, when you meet them upstairs, can confirm it, we do place, I think it was this past year, about 50% of those actually became full-time employed afterwards, which is a big achievement from our side, and I think it's a really important move to getting into the workspace.
Mr. Ian, I had a question for you. You can just answer that question and then, yes. The question was, how is Microsoft supporting youth in gaining technological skills, and what opportunities are available for them?
Can I come back to that question and just talk to this particular question? So it's even beyond your CV. It's even beyond LinkedIn. It's about creating a portfolio of work. Like what you currently have is time, right? And that time allows you to experiment and to create this portfolio that goes along with your CV. So if you're an IT person, there's GitHub, and if you've developed a website, and obviously it cannot be, as long as it's not confidential, proprietary information, you can put it up on GitHub, and along with your CV, send that. If you've done any data analysis, or if you've done engineering projects, or just create a portfolio of work so that a person can actually see what you've done. That's really what I really look for, is that experience. Then within our organization, we really are all about finding people work and jobs, and across all industries and programs, right? So within the organization, we've got 9 primary centers, and then 200 small ECDs around the country that we work with, 800 staff members, and internally there's often jobs becoming available. So from a teaching perspective, there could be an ECD or a after-school program, a grades 1 to 12 program, or even teaching programs within the career development. And that, on the career development side, we're doing learnerships, internships, work readiness. We are, last year we essentially placed 6,000 individuals in jobs, in work experience and in jobs. And those jobs often come with a stipend, or they come with a travel allowance. Depending on the sponsor, there's actually a decent amount of money, and just to get that experience. And then there's also a government program called Yes for Youth, where this is a very interesting initiative that we also participate in, where, for example, a BMW would come and give us funding, government gives us funding, and that funding goes towards taking a person through a work readiness program, preparing them for the work, and then taking them through specific career development programs. They could be call center, or they could be they could be IT programs, or various categories of work, retail. But then what happens after that is that person gets placed at a host site at no cost to the host site. So you get an opportunity to actually go to that host site and work live in the call center, work live in a retail, and that's being funded for by government and by the sponsor program. So one of our sponsors is Microsoft, so I'm leading on to that question. Microsoft give us a lot of funding where we're taking people through security and programming studies, and the basic skills like Excel, Word, all of those, but then some very specific hard skills like Python and Power BI, and so we've got that, and there's a couple of, there are a lot of opportunities. And then we've also got, we also do learnerships, where we also based on providing full educational funding for people. So it's across everything. Does that give you enough information? All right, thank you.
Enough information. We have questions from our audience online. Like, it's not just us, we are joined online. So we do have questions. The other question touches on inclusivity. Again, it was asked. How would you be able to address cultural diversity in the workplace? I'm not sure who wants to take that one.
I'm happy to start, and then someone else can go on afterwards. So from Publicis' side, we have a DE&I committee, and it's an actual committee that's run internally with volunteers across the group. They help form policies, they help form actual agendas, and also allowing to keep management as well as the different agencies across the group aligned to diversity and inclusivity with it. I think the other important part to mention is within creativity, diversity is incredibly important. You can only create creative things through diversity and through the inclusion of it. So it's not just for us a program to tick a policy or a governmental box, it's actually what's critical to allowing the best possible work to come out and to provide exposure into that. And it's not something which is just run at a policy level or a management thing, but actually run by staff and run by those that start with an organization and help drive a cultural standard going forward.
So similar to Nestle as well, we take diversity, equity, and inclusion very much important as good business, because it is important, right, that everybody is recognized for the value that they bring into the table. So in terms of the strategy, how we facilitate that is that employees are involved, and we have actually dissected it into different alleys, where whether you want to champion the gender diversity generations, because truth to this is that, you know, we've got multi-generations working in one office, for an example, from your baby boomer to millennials, etc., etc. I'm not sure which generation I am, but we are multi-generational, right? So if that's something that's you're passionate about, we encourage our employees to say, okay, I'm going to be an ally for the generation network or for the gender network or for the ethnicity and differently abled and so on and so forth. And I think this is really what makes us remain as competitive and gives us an advantage because of this diversity that we bring into the workplace. So if you're looking for your future employer, those are some of the things that you need to look out for, to say from a diversity, from equity and inclusion point of view, what is the policy and how are the actual employees that are in that organization displaying and living the values of that framework, yeah?
From an ABB perspective, what we did at the beginning of last year is we created a theme around the Ubuntu terminology, and that really spoke to us here in South Africa to bring us together, that we are who we are because of us, right? That being said, I think it encouraged us to be a lot more deliberate in our initiatives, and it shouldn't just be a tick box exercise, right? And we see value in diversity because it brings a lot, or it brings a broader spectrum of context when we're operating in our day-to-day work, right? The more context you have and the more diverse opinions and views you have, I think the more power that comes with that. So we're really serious about it, but I think it's about being deliberate, yeah?
Okay, yes, so I'll have to cut the conversation, but you can engage further in the speed networking session that's going to happen after this. So I'll take one question. Oh my God. Okay, two. Oh my gosh. I hope I'm not the one to choose who to go first, but I'll give it to him. I'll choose him. Let me see who else. And then I'll take one from that side. Sorry, guys. So it was my brother with the green jacket. Actually, that side, is there no female so that we can have at least one male, one female, balance the equation? Diversity. Inclusion. Okay, I saw a female that side. Sorry.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Khahliso Mkwena. So I'd specifically like to ask Microsoft on, because I heard you touching more on the after-school programs and stuff. So there's one after-school program that I'm running, and it's a coding and robotics for the young kids, as young as from grade 5. So even yesterday they were at the competitions, they took position 1 and 2 because I do the training for them and the coaching and everything. So I would like to ask on Microsoft on how can they empower those schools in terms of increasing the competitions and providing support for all the schools, because it's only selected schools that are able to compete in the competitions and stuff.
So just to correct, so my organization is Africa Tikkun, but we do a lot of work with Microsoft, so it's one of our sponsors. I would have to get more information from you around that particular project, and then the idea is for you to then put a proposal through and see if we can support that. So I'm happy to connect with you after this. But again, it's technology, and also being able to, I think what's crucial in terms of that proposal is what is the impact and how can we measure that, right? Just think about that in terms of what the outcomes are of that, and then talk to me. I'll give you my details. Thanks.
My lady.
Hi everyone. Sorry. My name is Didi. I study IT. So the question goes for everyone there. Wanted to know, what are your current developments that you guys are currently working on, if you can share, and what advices to work on as the upcoming software developers, in the IT sector? Thank you.
Can I ask that we pack that question for the... Okay, answer. Okay, we'll start with Ivy.
So from an IT perspective, I'm not too experienced with that, but I can talk about the technology space. I think R&D comes from our budget. There's a certain percentage that's invested from our revenue on an annual basis. So there's constant R&D happening. And I think I touched on it earlier, where the biggest drive for us we see now is this big data. How do we unpack it into smaller packets that are more meaningful for human beings, and for us to operate more efficiently within our operations and the businesses that we run, right? So that is the technology sort of trends that we are looking at now. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, good.
Yeah, from our perspective at Adcorp, we looking at making sure that we integrate all of our technologies internally. We make sure that it's backed up on cloud. Our security systems are up to date. So, I mean, there seems to be a lot more focus on hackers, so making sure your security systems are in place is important. Making sure that you're investing in your people, because a lot of it is behavioral, and it's that person clicking on the link or something. We also have a brand called Talk RT, and if you go look on the Talk RT's website, you'll see a lot of the current courses that we're doing there are skills for the future. And I mean, you can stay engaged on that and join our mailing list. I think the key part for us is just making sure that it's individualized. We need to make sure that whatever we're doing is making sure that this big data is understandable at the individual level, and we remembering that the end user is a person and not a machine.
I'll answer from a maybe more of a trends perspective, because I think from a platform perspective, you could study anything from C++ to WordPress, anything like that. My encouragement would be look at the AI advancements in technology where it's kind of going now, and from a Publicis Group perspective, I've invested in for the next 10 years into advancing that across the media landscape. My encouragement is look into something like Bodhi specifically, see if you can do a bit of research onto that platform and understand deep data technology dive as well as deep platform architecture. And then it's also not, to be honest, too wrong for you to have a good understanding from a ChatGPT perspective, but like the actual integrated level of things. How do you build customized bots, customize actual plugins into your ChatGPT itself, and then utilize that for your program architecture? If I think of where a lot of employees will be in the next 5 to 6 years, they're going to be looking for people that have a good understanding of that, and as well as platform developers that can utilize AI technology to look at big data. How do they drive automation through a business, internal comms? It's a big topic for things. I'm happy to go deeper into it if you want to chat upstairs onto it more specifically. Do you want to go into that as well?
So again, just reiterating what my fellow panelists have said, but it's AI, big data and cybersecurity are very important. And if you're a programmer, you can really differentiate yourself across all of those fields. On the AI side, very specific around becoming about prompt engineering. It's a whole open field. A ChatGPT prompt can take 300 pages of prompting to get the right questions. It's about knowing how to ask the right questions. From a specific technology perspective, in the Microsoft stack, there's Azure. Become very familiar with Azure, and low-code platforms. There's like Bubble, and there's Microsoft's low-code technology, which allow you to create micro apps within organizations, and are far more easier to implement.
Okay. I think it would be really bad of us to close off this session without getting any remarks from you. But before you share anything, I've just been sitting here thinking to myself that we're talking about the digital world, And we're talking about people who already have access to the internet and to, you know, the digital platforms. But I also did want to touch on some of the work that we do. So we are also developing digital apps for low-tech areas so that we don't leave anyone behind in that conversation. I just wanted to add on that. Yeah. And then to close off, I would like some final remarks, keep them short so that we can close off the session, and then we can go connect upstairs for the speed networking session. Yes.
Thanks again for the setup. I mean, if I can leave you with some thought-provoking points. I think one thing is what we look for in organizations is for the newcomers that are coming in to be authentic. And when we talk about authenticity, we want you to be you, right? Because this is what unlocks the value of you and can contribute to us being prepared for the future. And a tip on how to do that, there's a simple exercise, if you Google it, called the True North exercise, where it really looks at or it gives you the opportunity to look at your past and how those past experiences have helped you to be who you are today. And once you figure that out, then you figure who you are, and then you can start being more authentic to the world. And that's my closing comments. Thanks.
I just want to say a job is one thing, but a career is your life, you know, and you want to be deliberate about your career. So just as a company has a board of directors or an NPO has a board of trustees, it's important that you also form your network around you. You need to have someone who's going to be your mentor. That's someone who's probably in a job that you want to be in today. And then you can have those conversations with them to say, how do I get there? You need to have some sort of coach on your board, your career board. That might be your line manager who's there to give you open and honest feedback to say, you're really doing well in these spaces, but here's some gaps that you need to close. And then you need to have like a champion. That's someone who you'd form relationships with, and part of your networking and soft skills as well, but they will be the ones to say, you know, you're not in the room, but they're in the room and they see an opportunity and they say, okay, well, they know the right person for that opportunity. And then the last one, but I mean, there's many more, and you'll make your customized career board yourself, but you need a cheerleader. It's tough. You know, you need to, when you're almost on the brink of giving up, you need someone to say to you, you know, carry on, you can do it. They see the good in you. They know you can do it. That might be your spouse, a close family member, a close friend. But my point over here is just make sure that you build a network up around you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. And I think maybe to Avi and to Brandon, key is have a plan for your life. If to this day you did not have a plan, please go back and have a plan. Include authenticity to it and have a vision board to it and put it into action. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, just for me to end with, just from my perspective, I think that we're in a workforce transition period. So I think there's a lot of opportunity from a technology perspective, AI perspective. I think in the next couple of years, there's going to be a need for a freshness of an approach. And we spoke about the energy that the youth will bring into workspaces. The way business will be done will become different. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity from a technology perspective, the AI perspective, and how we're currently doing business is definitely going to transform in the next couple of years. So place yourself in the correct career path, but don't just isolate yourself. That was also brought up. What you're studying now might not be what you will do in 10 years from now. So keep that open and sort of broad mindset and take the opportunities that come your way. Cool. Thank you, guys.
I mean, you guys have touched on a lot of the most important things, but I think maybe something I'll add to maybe more on the practical side is don't be afraid to learn. I know we've kind of talked about it in that way, and it may sound like more like textbooks and stuff, but there's a lot of things content-wise on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on a variety of different platforms where you can learn from other leaders across the world, learn just in terms of the softer skills. my personal favorite, even, say 20 years of working now, like listen to the Diary of a CEO. If you've ever listened to that podcast, it's a wonderful podcast to listen to, and you can learn so many different things about different leaders across the world for things. There's lots of different topics that you need to be able to broaden your horizon on, because what you study today may not be the job that you have 5 years from now, but the skills you've learned in those studies and what you learn today will be applicable still then. I can speak for myself as being someone who studied BCom General. I didn't plan to be in marketing, but what I learned at BCom General has allowed me to do the job that I'm doing today.
So the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's really ultimately about you've touched on a lot of things, right? There were some crucial things, but networking. Don't be afraid to send an email to people. If you get a CEO's telephone, email address, send them an email with your CV and your link, and just work hard at it, and really take advantage of this again. And I said it before, the time that you've got now to build that portfolio, and just make sure that you're in the right place at the right time. And that's everything that everyone said. It's the volunteering, it's getting onto committees, it's doing work here, and it's easier said than done. That this right now is that opportunity to give it everything, and you cannot know enough. What's said before, but go on to do your honors and your masters if you can, and just become that highly qualified in whatever it is you're choosing, whatever field you work in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause to our wonderful panelists. This has been super insightful. Thank you so much for joining us, for engaging. To those who joined online, thank you so, so much. And thank you to all the partners who made this possible. PUMA, ABB, Adcorp, Publicis Group Africa, Microsoft, PUMA, Nestle, yes. I did that on purpose because it's about to be break time, right? So we're about to take a Kit Kat. Yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you so, so much, everyone. And that's it from me. I'm going to call Alessimo to come and explain how the speed networking session will go. Bye. Okay, you can use mine. I told you. I don't want to use this one.
Okay, everybody, I think we're getting to the fun part. Are you guys excited to have a one-on-one session with the partners? Yes. A little more excitement? Yes. Okay, amazing. So what's going to happen is we're going to let the partners go up. The volunteers will direct the partners to the networking room first, and then we will start with that group over there, because I feel like you guys have been neglected throughout this whole session, so you guys get to go first. On the second and the third floor, I think it's 30 people per room. 40. Yes, 30 people. Great. So the volunteers will direct you to where you need to go. From that group, when they come down, it'll be you guys, and then next, there is popcorn outside, so you can just network with each other while you wait for yourself to go next. But also, just remember that we still have another hamper and a couple of Uber vouchers for the next session, which will start at 1:30. And that's going to be a really awesome session, because I heard some people talking about entrepreneurship and being interested in entrepreneurship, but not only to be a business owner, but also to consider other careers in the entrepreneurship sector. I myself will be on the panel, and I've worked in the entrepreneurship sector in different ways, being on the program and also being an entrepreneur myself. So I think that's going to be a really exciting one for you. We also have a guest speaker that is from the Dragon's Den. Well, if some of you guys have watched the Dragon's Den before, Polo is in the house today. We also have someone from IDC who is in corporate social investments. I know she's somewhere in the corner hiding. But that's also other alternative careers that you can consider. So enjoy the networking session. We will ask a few of you what are some of the insights that you got from the networking session, so be prepared when you come back to respond. And the best winner will definitely get a hamper. Oh, sorry. Bianca, where are you? What's Bianca's full name? Simone. Bianca Simone, are you here? Yay! She's one of the winners from social media. Hamper. Great.
Okay.